to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL SuperCoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
G'day guys, welcome back to the Insight NRL Show, Origin 1. It's behind us now, it's done and dusted. We're here to talk through the fallout of that and preview the first mini buy, which is round 13 on the SuperCoach Brain, and joined by the SuperCoach Whisperer as always, mate. How you been? How's your week been?
Yeah, yesterday was just a blip in the road that is an Origin title regain. But no, mate, it's good. Footy's back. We've got the women's, got the girls on right now on the second screen, and yeah, the main stuff on this weekend is going to be good. By planning in full swing, basically, which is great. Great time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's plenty happening. I know that you've been sharing a lot of screenshots about your makeup of your fantasy team because your rank over there is pretty good. You can brag for 10 seconds if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's what are we, like top 500 or something like that. So yeah, making sure, trying to dot my I's, cross my T's. It's a bit different over there. You've got to have a full squad, like not like SuperCoach where you can have like 7 2RFs if you want. Or in fantasy you have to have pretty much a whole squad complete. So yeah, just working on numbers over there, mate, and trying to bob and weave my way through the Origin period. Yeah,
just chipping away. We won't talk about my fantasy rank. Actually, we probably shouldn't talk about my SuperCoach one either, but the better of bad bunch this year, which is just the way things are going. But guys, we're obviously here to talk round 13. There's plenty to talk about tonight as well. But before we do that, hit subscribe and like if you like the content. It does help us get out to more people. It does help us grow the show. So we would really appreciate that. And if you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit that follow button. And if you like it, leave us a 5-star review. On today's show, guys, we're going to talk through the hot topics of the week. We're going to have a little bit of a chat about the Origin. We'll call it Origin fallout. You know, a player's going to back up. Are there some risks of players not backing up? For the most part, it doesn't look too bad, but we'll have a chat about that and what we thought about Origin. And also, we're going to go through the best pods purchases this week, which is an exciting topic for a lot of people. I do a Pod Watch article every week and it's been going okay, but we've got some good pods for you this week that are definitely going to get you up the rankings, I would assume. Buy, hold, sells coming, watch list, as well as Captain's Corner, as it always does. But Josh, we'll kick things off, mate, with the Standard Squeeze. Brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, the squeeze of the week. It's helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. That pours the perfect shot every single time. The 4-in-1s keep your coffee hot and your beers cold. You can go to thestandardsqueeze.com, use the code IFS2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Round 12, the winner is Alexander, coach of Rishdog, who actually took out the whole competition with the number one spot this week with a 12.37. So not only does he hopefully be a SuperCoach Plus member or subscriber and get the $2,000 for the weekly prize, he also gets himself a standard squeeze pack. So 12.37, nailed the VC with Sharp, had Lehigh, had Yongi, had Iro, Lucas, Herbie, Savala, and Semrani, who all scored pretty well this week. So congrats to Alexander. Hop in our DMs, mate, on X or Instagram at Insight Fantasy Sports, and we'll sort out your prize. And Nathan, coach of Jet Speed, still holding on the top spot. I think he's about 20 or 30 points clear, so hopefully he can stay there. We've got 5 in the top 10 in this league, 23 in the top 100, and 191 in the top 1,000. So not a bad league to be a part of, guys. It is closed now, obviously, but where you had 12 rounds to get involved, and hopefully we'll find a winner, and hopefully Nathan can hold on. What a name as well, by the way. Great name, great team. Man's on fire. Let's have a chat about the hot topics this week.
Oh, hot.
Do you want to start first as the Queenslander, mate? Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, mate, it's just outplayed. I think we were outplayed last Sunday when the teams were named, to be honest. But yeah, I expect some changes to be made. The forward pack. I'm very, very shocked that we didn't win when Mo Fodawaker ran 4 times for 38 meters. And Trent Liero is just making 30 tackles in 30 minutes. So shocked that didn't get over the line. But Bobby T, thought him and Nana, I think, were Queensland's 2 big talking points. I think Nana was probably the second or third best player on the ground in a pretty well beaten side. And Bobby T was really, really good. And I've got no concerns or no fears that he isn't picked, which sort of backs up my somewhat controversial topic of advocating to sell him this week. So, yeah, I thought his spot in the team was pretty secure. I explained that on Twitter in detail. I just thought if you're going to pick a guy to be one and done, if you've got full intentions of Cobbo and or Murray Talangi coming back in, then Dane Gagai is a perfect one-game option up in Queensland to mark up on Trell. But, yeah, obviously being a right-side centre as well. But, no, I just thought when they named Toya that he was pretty much locked in regardless, unless he got absolutely bathed and we lost 60-0. But, yeah, mate, hopefully we see Arrow. Hopefully we see, Corey Horsburgh. I'd love to see Jamal Fogarty play 7, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But no, if we're being serious, it should be a pretty comprehensive 3-0 sweep.
I mean, look, everybody, I think even Queenslanders out there would admit that on paper, the New South Wales team's a better team. Billy coming out in the post-match press conference and saying it wasn't a personnel issue is probably just copium to make sure that it covers all his bases on his initial selections. So I would be very surprised if we don't see a number of changes coming into game 2. And look, some people are copying a little bit harder than others. I don't think Kalen Ponga really was that bad. People calling for Kalen Ponga's head, saying that Hammer should go back to fullback. In saying that, Hammer wasn't good either. So, I don't think Ponga did that much wrong for the most part. Bob Toya was good as well. I agree with you on that.
I'm just unsure what is a Tom Dearden, especially what is a Tom Dearden wearing number 14. You pick him over Munster, or you don't pick him at all. I don't love him. I'd rather Kurt Mann play 14, honestly, or Max Plath if he's fit. One of the worst games I think I've watched Harry Grant play, and I've watched him play the entire 2025 season. He hasn't been great, so not good.
Yeah, tough game for Harry Grant. 3 errors leading to 3 tries. Just very, I'd say unlike him, but this year just hasn't been his year. So, hopefully he can bounce back. Hopefully not for New South Wales fans out there, but hopefully he can bounce back for Queenslanders in a game.
Getting back to the Tigers, mate. That's when Harry Grant was at his best.
That's it, the peak Harry Grant for Tigers fans.
And another Tiger, Jareen Buller. He hates Queensland. Don't care. Go play number 1 for us.
Yep. I'm sure. Look, if he can play in the Origin arena, I don't think it'd matter too much who he plays for. He'd be happy. Let me tell you where Queensland lost this, and not just lost this physically, because you got battered up the middle. I think New South Wales forward pack was outstanding. But let me tell you there was one New South Wales forward that's been the talk of the headlines all week, and that's Spencer Leniu. He's had a biff with Jonathan Thurston. He's had a biff last year with Ezra Mam, and Queensland had a chance to absolutely beat him to a pulp off a kickoff. So what did they do? They kicked it to the other side. And what that does is that tells me that Queensland just don't get Origin this year. You just don't get it, because kick to the other side. Imagine 5-10 years ago, right, when Queensland were at their peak, and you've got the big fellas there going, we're going to fucking smash this bloke. Kick it to him. I want him to run at me, and I'm going to fucking take his head off. And this year they decide, you know what? Nah, let's not kick it to him, because that's not what they'd want. What a load of shit. Like that is a mental win, massive mental win.
I'm kind of glad Spencer didn't get it, because I'd hate to see him be put into the ground from the defensive presence of Trent Liero and Ruben Cotter. Massive bodies off the kickoff. They would have done some serious damage.
Oh man, yeah. Well, it could have been a 100-meter try, to be fair, if he ran through. So, but no, I don't know. Like, I just think Queensland teams of Queensland's past, there's no way they'd let that fly. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in game 2, whether someone comes out and calls Queensland out on that. We'll see. But interesting game. It'll be, obviously we've got a neutral game going to Perth in game 2. So that's going to be interesting, not only to see the changes, but I think people, you're right, should probably prepare to not have Corey Horsburgh in round 15. I think that's probably the most obvious option for me, is like someone like a Mo Fotuaika drops out for Corey Horsburgh, or you just get Liero out of the bench and use Horsburgh in the 17. I think that would be much more effective as a guy who can play lock and also has a bit of ball playing ability. So, I think
we'll also just punch someone if you need him to.
Well, or he'll cry. And either way, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't think Big Mo's going to wind him up and go 10 rounds. So
wouldn't have thought so. No. But anyway, mate, the big question here for super coaches out there is who's going to back up and who isn't. And I think we're quite lucky this year, per se, to look at this and go, you know what, there's only probably a couple of guys here that are at risk. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 names and not big, well-owned players either. We're looking at Tino with that, laceration on his face. That's been cleared. Des has come out and said that there's no injury. So it's more about a workload management thing, I guess.
think the only two major profile ones are Latrell Mitchell under some doubt and Mitchell Moses with some tightness as well. I've been pretty vocal. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Rob Toya is rested, considering he's had 2 ACLs and he is only 20 years of age, and they've got Dom Young there. So, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he is given the week off. But yeah, the only two major profile ones from a Supercoach standpoint would be Trell and Moses.
I think the risk coming into this game was everybody was a little bit worried about Payne Haas and how that would all look. How'd you feel like he went on Wednesday night? Just looked like business as usual, really. 58 minutes.
For a guy that hasn't trained, he pumped out 60 minutes with relative ease, which is always positive. Like, his numbers weren't actually that big either.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he was asked to run 200 meters and make 40 tackles. I think he made 30 tackles and ran sort of 150, which is below standard for Payne Haas. So, yeah, look, I'm not expecting 90 points this week, but if you tell me Payne Haas plays 50 minutes, then I'm starting him with absolute confidence and not selling him.
When you look at Haas's numbers this year, regardless of minutes, he's played some games with some big minutes, but like I was comparing him and Terrell May because I was looking at Terrell May's scores. I'm like, fuck, he's had 300s and a lowest score of like 50 or something in one of those games and one score under 72. And then you look at Payne Haas, right? 300s as well. We've got 6 80s, a 90, and a low score of 51 in 50 minutes against the almighty Tigers. So, like, this guy just doesn't fail. I think all he needs is 50 minutes and he's going to score you 70. And I think if he can average 70 through this period, he's definitely someone that you should keep in your team. We'll have a chat about him a little bit later in Buy, Hold, Sell. But, for a guy who was holding a quad injury throughout the week to come in and play a game like that is pretty special. So shout out to him. And also, maybe we didn't mention Stephen Crichton. Luckily, Bulldogs are on the bye this week. Obviously had that quad issue.
Oh, yes.
Have another week, but I would assume if he was backing up or had to play this week that he'd probably be one of those ones that sits out.
I don't know, mate. Maybe put Danny Badiris on the training staff for the Dogs and he'll grow a third leg. What's doing there? What's doing? I don't think he would have played this week. So good he's got the bye. I think if you had Matt Burton, wheels up. I think the goal kicking's fine. Obviously, it was an elbow, but he's got the groin. He got an elbow and had a calf during the week. So walking wounded, Stephen Crichton. But probably wouldn't play this week. So thankful for the bye.
100%. Absolutely. Mate, what we'll do is save our pod plays for after we do Buy, Hold, and Sell. So let's rip into that right now. Buy, Hold, and Sell brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. For those of you out there, we've just had another rate cut, which means only good things for those of you in the housing market. And if your rates are above 5.9%, you want to buy your first home, get into the market. Maybe you want to renovate and save some cash as well. Then Ryan's your guy. Does all the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to lift a finger. He's got 40 lenders on panel, including all the major banks, to get you the best deal. And the best part, there is absolutely no obligation with Ryan, and it doesn't cost you a cent. You can book your free consult as per the link below in the description. Just let him know that the Insight Boys sent you. Now, mate, we've got a couple of pods here that we're probably going to go early on in Buy, Hold, Sell before we talk about them later, but we can't leave them out. So let's chat about the buys.
Targets acquired.
I'll let you kick off first, mate.
As the great Shaquille O'Neal once said, I owe you an apology. I wasn't familiar with your game. Zach Lomax obviously was quite critical of him in the preseason. I was not perplexed. I just didn't think he could put up the numbers that he put up last year. But mate, he's been even better, which somehow is almost impossible. Averaging about 45 hit-ups a game, about 600 meters as well. Vibes are high, goal kicks on the strong side of a team improving on the attack. Maddie and I spoke about this on the Q&A. If you're good for the major buy rounds, I think Lomax is the guy that backs up every week, and he's a guy that you're going to get a number for in the mini buys. He's a guy that's also going to be a season keeper, and undeniably a top 4 centre wing for the run home in terms of points and average. He's been unbelievable, and yeah, it sucks for you that he missed the start of the season, because I know you were pretty keen to start with him come round 1. So now's a good time to rectify those mistakes, mate. Get him in. He's been, superb.
Yeah, 100%. We'll talk about the ownership a little bit later, but it's people are starting to flock to him now. I usually do the notes around lunchtime of the day that we're going to record, and then I come back later and check the ownership, and he's up another 1.5% since I did the notes in like 3 hours. So yeah, people are jumping on Zach Lomax for good reason. And when you look at the way that he played last night against Queensland, I tell you what, like that connection he's got with Mitchell Moses as well under the high ball is going to be something of beauty this weekend. And that matchup this week against the Casey McLean and Tom Jenkins edge for Penrith is probably the best thing that you could ask for Zach Lomax. And I think we all remember very, very clearly last year, Zach Lomax backing up after his first game of Origin, scoring 170. Could he do it again? Can he go that big again?
Look, it's probably one of the better matchups for him. It's just a question of what platform can they lay, and if Mitchell Moses plays, and if he doesn't play. If Mitchell Moses doesn't play, then look, I'm still happy to buy him, but it's just like probably less VC material.
That's fair. My buy this week is Ewan Aitken. We put a post up on Monday, I think it was, talking about Ewan Aitken, and I was in a good subscriber, friend of the show, Bain Wennett. Now, he's been in my inbox talking to me about pods this week, and we were both looking at Ewan Aitken really early on Monday morning. And, he's, I suppose when you look at his BP, it's down a little bit this year. So I think his BP is 58. We're looking at a guy who usually BP around 60, so it's a couple of points down. But his tackles are up this year, Josh. We were just talking about that before we hopped online.
I went through and looked at his tackle numbers from sort of years gone by because I was keen to see how reliable this was. The average is about 35 tackles on an edge historically. This season it's around 43, so up slightly. But as you said, BP is actually down across the board. So, that's fine. I mean, has had 3 games on the edge this year, mate. 64, 66, 87 as well. So really consistent numbers. Does have the concern over moving to the centres, but I'm not too fussed. He's had a 43 and a 73. Had one really bad game of a 19. That included the sin bin, and they got absolutely resolved south. So happy to put a line through that one. But even if he moves to centre, mate, I don't think it's the end of the world. But the edge is where we want him thriving, and that probably leads into the next man that we'll talk about. But Ewan Aitken, talk about pods, mate. 0.2% of the top 10% owned.
Yeah, it was until now. I think he's at 8.5. So, people have jumped on quick in the top 10%, but as they should, right? He's a great option moving forward. That dual position actually interchanges really well with Dylan Lucas too. If you've got him, I'm assuming you have him. If you have one at center wing and one at 2RF, then it works quite well. Or if you want to keep Dylan Lucas at 2RF, it gives you the flexibility in trades if you have them both up there. So, good shout this week. The beauty of the Rabbitohs as well is that they do play the next 6 games straight. They play the next 4 out of 5 at Accor. So they cover the mini bye this week. They cover round 15, 16, and 18. That tricky round 19 is the only concern. So if you've got a ton of Manly players, who's the other team?
Raiders,
round
which
19?
we all
Raiders.
Whole team of.
Yep. What their one might be in the sell category this week. We'll talk about him soon, but that's the only concern for me is if you're loading up on the man we talk about next and Ewan Aitken, that you've just got to watch your round 19 numbers or have a plan to make sure that you get a couple out by then.
I would look at if you're going to load up on Aitken and the next guy, and then maybe a Campbell Graham or whatnot. I'd look at your numbers for round 18. If you're well in excess of round 18, which I am, you can make a plan to offload 3 in round 18 and then 2 in round 19. So you can go basically 5 numbers in a matter of 2 weeks. But we're looking at pairing him up with another man. Aiken's stocks have gone up through the roof because he's moved to the edge because of the vacated position from Keon Kolomatangi. What more is there to say? Like him at lock last year was unbelievable. Him at prop this year is the exact same. He is just doing it for fun. He is still severely underpriced if he stays there. Mm-hmm. If he moves to the edge, I'm not overly concerned because Cody Walker will be back, getting him some ball. Obviously, he's nowhere near the asset he is in the middle. But Keon, mate, he's been world class.
He's been awesome, hasn't he? The 2 games, so sadly just missed the dual position front row forward change in round 12. He only played 2 games, one against the Broncos where he scored 72 in 73 minutes at prop with a 72 in pure base. And then he followed that up with the record in base in the next game against the Tigers, 104 in 96 in pure base, which is just insane. To think about that kind of base stat number is up. We're talking up in the Payne Haas, Terrell May kind of areas there. So if he can keep this up, and I'd be very, very surprised if Wayne Bennett moves him from prop now, just seeing how impactful he's been for the Rabbitohs through the middle. That's probably a position that they've really struggled with as well. Moving up this year in general, they haven't really had that punch through the middle of the field. They've made a change. They brought Keon in. He's been fantastic for them there. I don't see that changing. And also Ewan Aitken's been probably near on best on ground when he's got the minutes on the edge since he's come back from injury as well. So it just doesn't make sense to shuffle too many things around. I'd say if anybody needs to drop, it'll be Tallis Duncan on the other edge that would go first before you and Aiken.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been Jai Arrow and no one else really to lead that line for South. So it's good that Jai's picked up compadre in Keon. And just quietly, Jai Arrow 62, 51, 82 last 3 weeks. Also a sneaky little buy, 509K if you're needing some cover there. But yeah, man, I also think Keon was the biggest Supercoach winner from last night as well, just quietly.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no point dropping any of the forwards from New South Wales. Everything looked great. So yeah, you're pretty spot on. At least we get hopefully another major buy round out of him, which is what we want when you're buying players 2 weeks out from the next Origin game. So
that's the thing. Like if he is to, if you, I don't think he's picked game 2. If they get rolled in game 2, then maybe he comes in game 3, but then you miss 18 and then 19. He was always on the buy there, so you can cross that bridge when you come to it. But yeah, I thought Max King was really good. Spencer Lenny only played 25 minutes, but you don't expect him to play much more than that. Robson and Watson interchange well together. So yeah, I think he's and Hudson Young was fine as well. So I think Keon gets definitely another week in cup footy before any rep talk happens.
For sure. And unless, God forbid, any injuries happen, I'd say we'll see the same New South Wales 18 rolled out next game in game 2 in Perth. Let's have a chat about the holds. We did talk about Payne Haas, mate. Payne Haas is in the top 10 most sold at the moment, which I get the logic. I understand the reason as to why people are a little bit concerned about the minutes backing up from the quad. But I think last night should put people at ease a little bit, in a sense that you've just got to hold the highest total point scorer in Supercoach through this period, knowing that if he gets 50 minutes through this period, you're a winner and you've saved yourself a trade getting him back in. Yeah,
and I don't think Payne Haas's floor is low enough on reduced minutes to have this mass cash drop. And I also don't think the period of time over Origin between 12 and 19 is enough of a time frame to him to lose 250, 300K to make the trade worth it. If you sell him now for 842 and he drops cash, he goes down to like 720. You still have to find 720. And who do you want to sell? You're not selling Tino. You're not selling Keon. You're not selling May. I mean, maybe Horsburgh if you can find another 200K lying around. But I just think Payne Haas in your side is worth way more than Payne Haas out of your side. And Payne Haas playing 50 minutes is still much better than whoever you buy in the forwards to try and save cash.
Yeah, agreed. Mate, I'm holding Billy Smith, and I probably sound like a broken record. It feels a little bit like Taylor May last year, where every single week we were talking about Taylor May being a hold until he wasn't. But people are off Billy Smith, and this is just the law of averages that kicks in. It's the Supercoach gods. I don't control it, but I can guarantee you as soon as the masses sell Billy Smith, who covers rounds 15, 16, 18, and 19, mind you, so he's got a really good buy schedule. He's another number for you that can score. We've seen him score 2 scores above 76 this year. It's just a shame that they were back-to-back before people bought him. And then since then, he's gone 35, 34, 41, 43. And mind you, he's like, there's nothing wrong with 41, 43 at what he's priced at. We need to remember that this is a guy we bought for 310K. So for me, I think Billy Smith's a fine hold just due to the schedule. I don't think he's as expensive enough to move on just yet. That's probably my biggest issue. You're just not utilizing your money well. Like, wait until he fattens up a little bit and then move him on potentially at the end. If you don't need the numbers for the major or mini buys, just move him on in round 17 after he probably puts a score or 2 on. Because I guarantee you, as soon as you sell him, he's going to be that guy that averages 70 over the next month and makes you pay.
So you read out his scores, and like Billy Smith was actually my hold before I read your notes. So like you read out his scores. I'll read you out some scores of what some people are saying is the cheapie of the year, potential borderline keeper as well. 43, 26, 45, 45, 34, 58, 41. Now they're Rob Toya's scores before he put up a 149. Mm-hmm. With cheapies at this price, that's all it takes. One big score and he makes 150K. And I've been on record to say that in another life, Billy Smith's the best center in the game. The talent is there. The score will come. You haven't realized that much equity on Billy Smith at 381. The big score comes and you'll kick yourself. And I think people need to go back and watch a couple of those games where he did get 40s. Both of those, there was 2 games in a row where it should have been 70 because he got absolutely cucked on scoring as well. So all it takes is one big score. Billy Smith is not going to drop price at a 38. So he's a good number to have. And yes, spot in the side's pretty safe.
Yeah, absolutely. An extra number that can score 70 can stay in my team until I really don't need him to anymore. We've made tons of cash this year. I can afford to hold him for the number.
I've also got more confidence in Billy Smith to string together 60s. Like he's far less of a player to put up like a 19. He's a guy that can get 60 3 weeks in a row. Mine. Like you, top 10 most sold. A little bit confusing. Was Adam Fennell or Blake? Now the news today that Tom Hazelton is going to be out for 3 months. Adam Fennell Blake still played 59 minutes over the weekend. Had an AC injury, but Sharks are pretty confident he plays. International player as well. It's not affected by Origin. We'll get you through this period. AFB is going to average about 75 on the year, but there's going to be very, very few 75s. It's going to be a lot of 90s, 100s, and 50s, and you just got to ride it out, unfortunately. A bit of the Joe Tarpings about him from last week. I feel like a lot of people bought him for buy cover, and it didn't materialize, and I'm wondering if some of these trades are trade-ins from the previous week. So for me, Adam Fennell-Blake, mate, the minutes I think are still there. But that was the concern for me, but he played 59 over the weekend, and unexpectedly, the forward pack got rolled and his scoring was limited. But yeah, pretty confident in an AFB bounce back moving forward.
Yeah, I would be too. If you bought him, especially last week, I think you just need to hold on. Let's have a chat about the sells. Go on, get it off your chest.
Oh, no, it's just Connor Tracy. Look, a lot of us buy into hype from external sources, and sometimes it doesn't work. That happens. You took a swing for the fences, didn't pay off. You paid $600K for 44 points over 3 weeks. It's just unacceptable. Nothing's changed to suggest that role's gone backwards either. So, yeah, I'm just jumping off. Unfortunately for him, if Crichton's going to be not backing up, doesn't help him either. Just unfortunate for people that did jump on. I know his ownership skyrocketed, but 44 points in 3 weeks for a 600 plus K asset's just not acceptable. And there's nothing to suggest there's a bounce back coming apart from just reverting back to the mean. There's no injury for Tracy or no minute restrictions. It's just, not involved. So,
are you concerned about the Galvin signing and the rumours floating around that potentially Connor Tracy could be the one that loses out? Like, there's also been word that Toby Sexton is going to be the guy that makes way and obviously moves on from next year. How do you see them playing this out?
You could have just stopped it. Are you concerned with the Galvin signing? You didn't need to explain the rest of it. I would have just said yes. Also, I mean, there was that weird sort of report getting around that potentially Burton to fullback if Sexton left. I mean, Dogs just seem like a weird place at the moment. Obviously, Reid Money's been told he can sort of look elsewhere, or he's asked to look elsewhere, or asked if the club sees him in the future, and they said no. So, a lot of moving parts, a lot of noise. Are you shocked if the Dogs go on a bit of a losing streak? Maybe not. Are you shocked if Connor Tracy averages 80 for the next month? I'm also not shocked, but when you've got a guy like Lomax there, you've got a guy like Aiken that you can cash down on to get a little bit more security and safety, then I'd do that as well. Dogs don't have the greatest schedule. I think they miss another one within the next 3 or 4 weeks, just from memory as well. So
another mini buy, 16.
So just keen to jump off.
Yeah, fair enough. I definitely think that he's a sell. And look, we've definitely got a couple wrong this year that we've had to bail on quickly. And I think it's also important that you do accept the fact that maybe you got one wrong and bail now. Rather than holding on forever, like I have with Kalen Ponga. And that, like, for me, I've held on way too long, and he's still in my team. He's only 12% owned in the top 10% of teams now, Kalen Ponga. So he's like a pod now, which is cool. So I don't mind picking pod Kalen Ponga at 550K. It's just, I've held on too long and didn't pull the trigger. Now it's a little bit too late. Same thing with Connor Tracy. If you bail now, you can use his cash, get onto a good option. And as a Nicker owner,
as a Nicker owner, he feels this chat. Yeah, Nicker also on Fraud Watch. So that might be a segment for next year. We might have a Fraud Watch segment.
Yeah, I like it. We'll change things up a little bit, change the segments up each year, but I like that one. I'm selling Corey Horsburgh. Now, I guess you could go 2 ways with this one. You could bank on the fact that he's in Origin contention now, and his next 2 games are going to be great because he's going to want to prove a point. Or he can go, you know what, I'm going to play within myself because I know that spot's now mine, and he'll kind of cruise through the next couple of games. If we look at the last 3 games, he's played 47, 53, and 51 minutes. So I don't think there's going to be any change there. Obviously, the sin bin in round 12 didn't affect his minutes. It just affected his end score. So let's just say we had 8 points on plus another maybe 7 points. He sits around that mid-50s mark again. So for me, I feel like we can cash in on Horsburgh now, knowing that he's going to miss, would have had a bye in 15. He's going to have to back up in 16, and he's also going to miss 18 and 19. So if you're worried about your round 19 numbers a little bit later, I'm more than happy to move on Corey Horsburgh now. He's not someone who's just banging the door down as a hold each week for me anymore. Mid-50s doesn't really cut it. I want my 65 plus as a guarantee from these guys. And what are your thoughts on Horsburgh? Because he's currently the most sold in the top 10% of teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also looking to sell him myself. I'm looking at sort of him or Nafahu White, like whether I just hold Naf through and just see what happens with him returning from injury as a number. But yeah, I mean, I've been pretty critical of Corey Horsburgh for what feels like 5 or 6 weeks. Never had the chance to get around to selling him, but yeah, the minutes are somewhat there. The PPM is also somewhat there, but yeah, the concern is that he does miss, backs up on limited minutes in 16, then potentially misses 18, doesn't play 19. Then you're looking at 2 games between then and round 20. So yeah, I'm okay with selling if you've got enough depth. I wouldn't be selling this week if it means like you're playing Hugo Savala or like Billy Smith. Like if you're fortunate enough to sit those guys this week, then yeah, sell Corey Horsburgh. If you need the numbers, then different story.
Yeah, good shout. The last sell's Thomas Cant. I think he's just lucked out in terms of role now. McCarthy's come in at centre, which has kind of closed the door, I guess we could say, on Thomas Cant coming onto an edge. As we see Dylan Lucas now, he's being named there with McCarthy in the centres and Fletcher Hunt on the wing. Marju's back next week. And then we've got Bradman Best due back round 16 has been confirmed. So, I mean, I just don't see a pathway for any kind of scores or cash from here. I think, again, it's touch and go with Kant because it's not like he's super expensive either, but he does cost a little bit more than a couple of these other guys like the Billy Smiths and things like that. So, yeah.
Also think his minutes last week were a little bit of a Pinocchio, a bit of a lie. Adam Elliott had that bicep rupture, and that was quite early in the piece as well. Also had the young fella, I'm so sorry, I forgot his name, but did he shoulder twice in a matter of 10 seconds? So
oh yeah, poor bloke.
The rotation was all sort of janky. So Kant's minutes, if you held last week, great. I think you hit the break even, but this week it's just like, yeah, move on for me.
Paul Bryan. Shout out to Paul Bryan.
Paul Bryan, that's it. Shout out Paul Bryan.
I only just realised Thomas Cant is only 20k less expensive, more expensive than Billy Smith. I did not realise he leaked that much cash. Look, maybe the same applies there. 45 break even off the bench. It still stinks. The roll sucks. So you could go to one of these pods, mate. Oh, I'm excited about a couple of these pods. Either you're going to get rinsed or you're going to be the most favourite man on the internet. So probably both, which is usually how things go. Let's have a chat about these pods, mate. We've picked out 7. We've got 7 here on this list. Top 10% of teams we're referencing here when we talk about ownership. The first 2 we've already mentioned in our buy, hold, and sell. That's how good they are. Zach Lomax currently 8.6% owned in the top 10% of teams, 728k, 43 break even. If you missed why we love Zach Lomax that much, just go back and watch a replay of last night and then go back and watch a replay of round 11 for the Eels, and that'll tell you why we want him. And Ewan Aitken.
Also just the entire 2024 season, if you want some other viewing as well.
And that, yeah. Just every game he's ever played on the wing. Go and watch that and you'll enjoy yourself. Ewan Aitken's the other one, 534k, 19 break even, 8.1% owned. So those 2 guys we've already mentioned, mate, but I'll hand the floor over to you because this next one was a call that you went early on last week at fucking 0.01% ownership. And he did exactly what you thought he'd do. So why not go back to the well?
Yeah, less enticing this week. Made 40k. Bought for 380. This week you're buying for a little bit more of a premium and 1 week closer to the death of him, which will be probably round 19. But it is Morgan Smithies. 423k. Does what exactly it says he's going to do, which is going to be 55, 60 points. Games without Matty Nicholson in the side, he's gone 59, 75, 57. Found an offload 2 weeks ago, which is like scoring a try. It's about as rare as that. But the minutes, mate, the minutes are what's there. Zach Hosking takes over that sort of 80-minute role, which Nicholson occupied, and Hosking was then obviously coming through to the middle for a little bit, which was restricting Smithies. You see here, like, minutes in weeks gone by, 39, 35, 33, 42. Matty Nicholson goes down, 64, 61. No Matty Nicholson in round 1, 57 minutes. So also just reliable as anything. I think Ricky played him for 40 minutes straight in the first half, and that was a very brutal game to be playing 40 straight in that game in the wet in NZ. Then played the first 20 minutes of the next half, first 15 minutes, then came on for the last sort of 5. Yeah, just look, it's not sexy at all, but it's going to get you through if you 55 points for 420k.
Yeah, absolutely. If your round 15 numbers are good, he'll play the next, 13 and 16, plays the next 2 minis, and the round 19 he'll miss, but round 18 major he'll play. So that's probably the time that you'll move him on, because I would assume Matty Nicholson will be kind of close to coming back. Was it about 10 to 12 weeks for him?
Yeah, but also, like, if you use that little strategy that I was talking about before, like if you're going to sell 3 guys, if you're going to sell 3 Raiders, Manly or Bunnies in 18, then sell 2. I'd sell Smithies in 18 just because it's probably got the less floor. But yeah, mate, not sexy at all. Don't expect the world, but he'll do a job.
It's hard to expect the world from a pod. Lomax we do because he's priced up there. I mean, Mark Nawanganaitawaze is another one that you can look at. He's outside of what we would consider to be pod territory. I think he's near 20% owned.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, if these were generational picks, like can't miss picks, they're not 0.1% owned, which is what Smithies was last week. Like, you do have to try and find these and spin some narratives to get them there. If they were slam dunk home run hits, then everyone would own them.
Like Keon. Perfect example of why people are jumping on this week. Obviously not a pod. So that's Lomax, Aitken, Smithies. I'm on Dane Gagai again. I think I've brought him up in the article about 4 weeks in a row, and nothing's changed for me. In those 4 weeks that we've, I think I said in round 8 he was a buy. He's gone 64, 71, 68, 68, 72 with one of the best COVs over that 5-week period you're ever going to see. Base is solid. It's in the 40s near every week. He's got a BP of 51, which is good enough for, I think, top 10 in center wing. So for me, like, he did get points from scoring and from goal kicks last week, so we can't expect them. That definitely propped his score up. But if we do expect Kalen Ponga to continue to miss these major to play Origin, Dane Gagai is clearly the goal kicker. So you get a little bit of a bump in those major bye weeks with Dane Gagai, which I love. And, with these 2 young guys on the left wing, left center in McCarthy and Hunt, you would naturally assume that there's going to be more ball going down Gagai and Schiller's edge. And also apparently the rumor is out that Dom Young's signed with Newcastle and will be there by round 16, which is when they play each other, which is fucking cool.
I think it's the week after. I think it's the week after. I think the Roosters have said you can have him, just not the week that we play
each other. That would be cool if they set that up. That'd be awesome.
Take Gagai, Dom Young, man. I think Gagai averaged mid-70s that season. Was it 2 years ago? So,
yeah, love Dom Young next to him. Definitely, no, won't take the piss out of Schiller anymore. I seem to do it every week, but I think you'd call Dom Young an upgrade on the right wing. So love Dom Young, love Dane Gagai and Dom Young if he ends up getting there.
Not much shame Schiller about Dom Young.
No, not quite. Jack Williams, you a fan? 488k, -1 break even, only 1% owned. He's been pretty big the last few weeks playing in the middle there. What are your thoughts on him?
He's been unreal. Last 2, he's been superb. We heard all these reports about him sort of training the house down, really impressing everyone in the preseason, and then unfortunately got injured pretty early into the season, so couldn't really see that for him. But returned in round 7. 45, 58, 54, 66, 73 minutes. So the minutes have been building each week. Attacking wise, running great lines, bit of a Payne Haas light, running a bit of a wider line. And yeah, like if you're getting 70% of Payne Haas for 480k, then absolutely does have the jewel. Will cover 13, 14, does miss 15, but plays 16 and plays 19 as well. So missing 2 mini buys, but plays 2 majors as well. So mate, he's been really good. And if the minutes are continuing north of 65, then I don't see why a world where you don't jump on him.
66 and 73 minutes in the last 2 weeks. We've seen a very similar forward pack, very similar lineup for the Eels since those 2 games as well, which is great. The bench makeup's very similar. 54 in BP this year So you can do much worse than Jack Williams at 1% owned. Zach Laybut, definitely a bit more of a left field pick, I would consider him. Sub 400K, around the Billy Smith price, 389K. Obviously, he's only played one game this year, 0.4% owned. The risk with Laybut is that they abandon the Jackson Purdue experiment. So, then the question comes up with Todd Payton, and trying to predict what Todd Payton does is nearly impossible. But could Vailea drop out of the team? And if he's that high on Laybut, was it, what do you think on this? Was it they wanted to get Purdue into the halves, they wanted to drop Clifford, or they were desperate to get Laybut in the 17? What was the big kicker to make this move?
To get Laybut in. They were huge on him last year. I bought him famously at round 3, if you remember.
And then he did his ACL. Yeah. Brutal. Brutal. I got
So,
him in draft. I felt a little bit of the pain.
I'm a bit scarred. It was almost like buying Billy Smith and then him being out for the season. He went like 80, 70 with massive BP. I was like, we're on. And then out for the season. But no, the Cowboys rate him highly. I think it does help that Purdue is a natural half. Makes no sense to drop Clifford, but hey, is what it is. First game against Manly, 39 points. But yeah, 389K. I'd definitely do him. I'd definitely do. Oh, that was a bit out of pocket. I'd do Tom Cant to Zach Laybut if you had him.
Yep, like that. I think the bonus is that the Cowboys, we talked about the Cowboys schedule a lot coming into the bye period too, right? Like they don't have a bye until round 27. So from here, they're done. Their buys are essentially done. You're going to definitely move him on from there. And I don't think you're going to be relying on Zach Laybut playing in round 27. Then again, you never know what round 27 carnage is going to come our way. But they've got the Tigers this week too.
Also spoken about the Cowboys just not leaving Queensland for 50 weeks in a row. So
yeah, definitely. They've got 4 games at QCB in between now and 19. A game at Amy Park. They've got to go down to Amy Park next week. That'll be a tough matchup for them. But yeah, aside from that, they've got the Gold Coast, they've got the Dolphins, they've got the Tigers in this period. So some nice little guys. You can play on matchup with Laybut as well. It's not like you're really going to rely on him to be scoring in your 17 or 18 every single week either. So
especially
more of a cash free up.
Especially in round 14, plays Melbourne in Melbourne. Round 14, we have a whole selection. I think we have the Roosters on the buys. We might be a little bit harmed, but surely your squads are deep enough that you can sit him.
Yep, 100%. Who's the next one, mate? 0.1% owned.
It is. It's my boy, Luciano Leilua. 25 break even, 397K, 0.1% owned. Vibes would dictate that should be close to 100% owned. Average 59.5 last year, mate, on a 70-minute edge roll for the Dragons. Has averaged 56 across the last 4 years. We know Lucci, the highs, the lows, everything in between. The bench makeup for the Dragons, mate, really, really tasty with Dylan Egan out for the season. The concern is Raymond Faitala-Mariner on the extended bench, but as it stands right now, mate, Jacob Little, Blake Laurie, not Harmselli, Molo, no, it's just 4 mediocre. It's Couchman, it's Laurie,
Jack DeBellin's at prop.
Jack DeBellin, Hamish Stewart. Like, it's just a lot of middles in
Francis
this team.
Molo, yeah.
David Clemmer, Francis Molo. Like, it's just middles galore. So if that bench stays the same, then Lucci will be playing pretty much close to 80, I would imagine. And the numbers for him are quite underpriced, 15 to 20 points underpriced.
Yeah, really love that. I think it's and Fresh Prince in the chat obviously remembers the conversation around ChatGPT predicting Luciano Leilua being the best player.
Top 2RF point scorer, him and Dave Fafita.
Yeah, coming in clutch now. ChatGPT, you never know. He might be coming through with the goods. Took us a while, but we got there. Maybe he did. Maybe
and Loco Pacific Tomo. I forgot about him as well. Another middle.
Yes. Big middle bench this week. So you'd assume that both edges play 80 or close to it, hopefully. I like the Luciano Leilua shout. I think I'd still prefer to pay the extra 137K and get Aiken. If I had the choice, just guarantee of points for the most part. But if you need that extra cash, a lot of us silly super coaches that don't have James Tedesco are going to need to free up a fair bit of money next week or the week after to get him in round 15 after their bye too.
Why?
So
Tom Trbojevic is 400K cheaper.
Someone said at the start, when's the Tom Trbojevic chat starting? And I saw it.
Try to avoid it.
It's been rough. It's been a rough week. But that is the pods. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw one more on just for fun. I called it last week. One person in the top 10% owned, Daniel Tupou. Scored 85 last week. He's got a BP of around that 50 mark. So 29 in pure base, 21 in evade this year. So the numbers are actually sneakily good. He had a bit of a lean run where he's gone 47, 30, 30. But since round 7, he has gone 86, 66, 60, 52, 85. So the kicker for me is that Sam Walker being back soon surely provides more of an aerial threat on that left wing.
I was thinking more of a Harbour Bridge, a Thon.
Well, that could work too. Both. I think he's definitely going to get much better ball and much more focus point when Sam Walker's back in the team. 578K with a 49 break even covers those two major buys, the two mini buys coming. As long as you haven't got a million, and that's the thing with Nwanga as well. As long as you don't have a million Roosters players in your team already, that probably writes you off from going these left field Roosters picks. But if you only have like 3 Roosters, I could get around buying Tupou this week.
Daniel Tupou also fills a quota of owning players that look like Supercoach content creators. Obviously, Zach Hosking and Tim Williams, Daniel Tupou and Aman from Aman Talk. So if you want to double your output of Supercoach content creator lookalikes, then Daniel Tupou right up there.
Love that. We'll have to come up with like a content creator 17 lookalikes team because I reckon there's enough creators.
Let's we can quickly talk about Appy Coruscant. I also think he's an incredible option. Talon De Silva, I'm really concerned with the reports coming out that we might lose him. I might actually need a welfare check sent to my house if that happens, if I lose Galvin and TDS in the same quarter. But like when he's playing, big minutes, he's putting up numbers. Like it's been a bit weird for Appy. It's why we haven't spoken about him at length. 599K, 57 minutes here, 62 there, 59 here. Like it's low, but when he's playing big minutes, 144, played 85 minutes against the Sharks for a 65. Like he is the forgotten man at hooker, but we need to get a consistent run for him to really be an option.
Yeah, it's 80 minutes or 0 option for me. He needs to be playing 80. I just think that, these 57-minute games, 58, 64, the 30s and the 20s are going to be there. He's not a big base stat player. He averages 34 in base. So it's just not enough to rely on solely if he has no attack, which he's going to have attack. He's such a big point of attack.
Bring back goalkeeping, Appy Coruscant.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Fuck, he was a guy that I anti-potted for the first half of the season. And I think Matty started with him last year and we didn't. And
I think you and I were both really keen on him because we were like, the Tigers only put up like 6 points worth of goal kicks every year. We'll improve. But then we didn't do it. And then he just killed us.
I feel like we're the ones that spruik up the players in the preseason. And then Matty ends up starting with him and we both bail. And he gets the benefit and we're sitting there going, why did I not back myself? Anyway, good times. I can't get around Appy now just until I know that there's a guaranteed 80 minutes coming. That is it Tristan Hope on the bench I'm pretty sure Tristan Hope.
Yeah, because Heath Mason's at 6.
Yeah, I think Tristan Hope's a utility this week, which means that he'll probably spell Appy at some point, which probably writes him off for me this week. We've got some awesome super pods and pod chat coming as well, but I just want to bring this up. Apparently, you're Morgan Smithies. I'm going to find a left-right comparison. You copped a rotten stray there from Andy.
No, that's rotten for Smithies. That's
I'm Corey Horsburgh, apparently, just probably because I got a red beard.
Yeah.
And Matrix is Jesse Arthurs. We've been rorted here in this comparison.
One of the most attractive men in the league, and Matty. Yeah, all right.
Fucking hell. Yeah, next he'll be fucking Herbie Farnworth or something. Shock me.
Yeah.
I reckon that's his burner, Jay. I don't want to butcher your last name, so I won't say it. We've talked pods. There's plenty of pods. We probably could come up with even more, but we'll leave it there. Obviously, if you want to get a bit more access to the deeper dive on these pods and the pod articles that are going to be coming up every week, you can become a Patreon subscriber as
also,
well.
Best time of the year for it.
It is
best time of the year for it. Like you saw from the scores last week, if you have a stinker like me, you get 950, and if you win squeeze of the week, you get 1250.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So it's the week to swing.
Yep. It's definitely the week to swing. Let's have a chat about, speaking of swings, let's have a chat about captaincy.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
I'm super nervous this week about Pappenhausen versus the Titans. You'd be a happy owner.
I don't know how we've gotten to round 13. You don't own Tedesco and Pappenhausen. Either one of them.
about how shit my season's been. It's been a tough ride, I'll tell you that much, fading both. But it's okay. I had Ponga, so it's all good.
Hey, you bought Turbo?
And I had Turbo in 2 separate intervals and 2 shitty intervals, so it's been a great season. But I think, anybody against the Titans is a target, right? Like,
Well,
even Jerome Hughes is an option.
My favorite podcaster, SC Brain, always says every week he opens the drawer and looks at who the Titans are playing.
Mm-hmm. This week it's the Storm, and I'm terrified because I don't own Munster. Lucky Munster's backing up from Origin, so I'm just hoping that he cruises. But I'm very scared about Pappy going large in this one, as should anyone who doesn't own. If you didn't really care too much for these other guys we've spoken about, you've got Keon already, you went a week early, whatever it be, and you've got an option to get Pappy this week, I'd probably pull the trigger because Melbourne Storm only have one more bye in round 15, and then they've got a free run home. And if you look at the matchups over the next few weeks for the Storm, it is pretty free. It's going to be some really favourable matchups through that period. We've got the Titans this week, the Cowboys next week at Amy Park. Then they've got that final bye in round 15. Then they play Souths. They've got the Sharks. Then they play the Cowboys again into Newcastle. So this little bye period, they've got some really nice matchups. And I'll need to make a decision on whether I get Pappy or Teddy. I won't be able to have both because I bought that fraud paper mache fullback from Manly.
Far. I think you go Pappy. I think Pappy's the play.
Pappy over Teddy, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Been influenced by big podcasters again.
No, I was not happy when Gutho scored 144, like 2 weeks after everyone bought him, but very glad I went Teddy because I don't have this headache. But no, I think for you, I definitely go Pappy, just because he's probably the lock and load VC of the week, mate. The next one, Terrell May versus the Cowboys. It's weird to have the mentality shift. I mean, playing this game coming up 12 years now, and I've gone through a few phases, and it's hard to shift the mentality back to Barrow forwards being an automatic captain. But yeah, Terrell May is just not like any other forward that we've seen for the better part of 8 or 9 years, playing 80. That bench makeup, he plays 80 again this week. I'm very confident on it. Yeah, he's just that guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're getting to the Paul Gallen 2016 automatic captain every single week territory with Terrell May. Like, it can't go wrong, can it? Like, he's, I don't want to go and jinx him, so I won't, but he's playing big minutes. He hasn't been picked for Origin, which is a blessing for us, means a little bit less workload through this period. And this chat's throwing me off because someone just called Matrix Scott Minto, and that's completely thrown me. Well played, Ange. So May's bulletproof. I think it's a pretty safe pick. Drinkwater, on the other hand, mate, versus the Tigers. Now, I went back and had a look at the Tigers matchups for fullbacks over the last few weeks, and everybody thinks, the Tigers are a good team to play. Pappenhausen scored the 182 or whatever it was 3 rounds ago. Iongi, so the last 5 games the Tigers have played against fullbacks, Iongi scored 76, Will Kennedy scored 74, Gutho scored 43, Latrell scored 41. So it's not like we're seeing monster 90-plus scores there. We've had one score over 76, and that was Pappy. So not exactly the slam dunk pick this week. The advantage is that they are at home this week. But yeah, I mean, the Tigers off a little bit of a break as well, as are the Cowboys, I guess. So I'm probably, if I had to pick, I'd probably try to VC a Storm player into May this week. That seems the safest. But if you want to take a bit of a VC swing on Drinky, I'll tell you what, slapping the big orange armband on Keon this week you could do much worse.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he is not quite as good, but he's also 200k cheaper. So yeah, he's unreal. Definitely can't talk you out of Keelan. But talk to me about your boy Zach Lomax.
Well, I mean, you've just got to look at the 2 men in front of him, really. I think I agree with you that Mitchell Moses is his status in this game, and whether he's playing or not definitely impacts how I would feel about Lomax as a purchase. I think, as more a captain, I'm happy to buy him regardless, but as a captain, coming up against Casey McLean and Tom Jenkins, depending on who's where, regardless, when these guys defend together, they've been torn to shreds on that edge. And Penrith's edges defensively have been quite poor. It's more just a matter of whether the Eels can be good enough to go set for set with Penrith long term, because I think Cleary will control this game pretty well. But honestly, I reckon the Eels are a chance of knocking them off here if Cleary doesn't play his best. So if there's going to be points scored, it's going to be through Lomax down that right side. So you can do much worse. Goal kicking as well is pretty safe.
You talk on Nathan Cleary, and everyone sort of was saying he had a bad game. I thought Nathan Cleary played very, very well last night without being exceptional. But from a Supercoach standpoint, mate, he was also just absolutely world class. He had 20 runs, 10 tackle busts, 3 offloads, no attack. Scored 88 fantasy points, which is monster. It's a monster score in fantasy. Supercoach, he would have been very much close to 70, 80 points with the missed conversions, without attack as well. So, yeah, he's finding that step, which we know he can find. I think he's also shock horror. Nathan Cleary, good captaincy option this week in Supercoach up against the Parramatta Eels. Shock horror.
I sold 2 weeks ago. Again, and the 2 really nice captaincy options I don't have this week in Pappy and Cleary. So tough watch. Yeah, behind the couch type stuff. Maybe even turn the TV off, pull the plug out of the wall type stuff. We'll see. But yeah, I'm thinking of probably going pretty safe with May. It could be a VC May into C Keon. Imagine that'd be the most boring captaincy option of all time. But I might just do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely on VC Pappy, and then for me, it's Torquay. It's toss up between May and Cleary. It's who I think can go bigger. I need to make the decision quite quickly because I think May plays directly after Pappenhausen in terms of the run sheet. So I would have to make that decision. But yeah, Nathan Cleary from last night really showed me quite a lot from a Supercoach standpoint. But Terrell May is safe and reliable. But for me, maybe rank 5th, 14K for you as well. Maybe VC, and VCing a prop into a captain prop won't move us in the directions that we want to go. So maybe we swing for the fences with a Luciano Leilua captain. Straight C.
Yeah, maybe. You and Aitken, big C on him. We'll see where we go. But yeah, there's definitely some pod options this week. Obviously, we'll put up our final teams, guys, in the Patreon. You get to see exactly what our teams look like, our VC and C options. You'll see what our trades are for this week, as well as all the other weeks moving forward. So if you want to become a member, the link is in the description below. Less than $10 a month. You get access to the WhatsApp as well as all the other stuff that we do every single week. But that will do us. Thank you to everyone in the chat for keeping those lookalikes coming. They were good. I did see a lot of Matrix and Todd Carney type chat, which is left field, but I can get around it considering he's not here. But aside from that, anything to add before we wrap up, mate?
No. Matrix cost me going out for beers tonight. That's about it. So we'll hold that against him. But apart from that, mate, look, it's gonna be good. Give me a good round. Looking forward to seeing me move up about 400 spots and not really do anything.
Feels like one of those years. I was between 20,200 and 24,000 for about 7 weeks in a row. So I've finally broken the curse. Maybe the floodgates have opened. We'll see. From the whopping 16,900th, maybe I can find some green arrows this week. But hopefully you can find some green arrows as well, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting involved. Subscribe, like, follow, do all those things to help the pod if you love us. And we'll be back on Sunday to wrap up the week that was. We'll see you then. Good luck.